In this video, we'll talk about createRecord function, and this function we can import from Lightning UI Record API. So as the name suggests, this function is used to create a record, and the syntax is very simple. First, you need to import the function from Lightning UI Record API, and then you have to call this function and pass the record input object, and this input object will be used to create the record. This object takes the object API name and the fields detail as an input, and this function returns a promise. So let's go to our VS Code and see how this works. So let's create the component. I'll say create code demo. So now the component has been created. Let's go and import the function, and I'll say import create a record from Lightning UI Record API. The function is ready. Now we'll go to the HTML, we'll design our form, and I'll say lightning card. I'll say title create code demo, and we'll create the form here. Before that, we'll add some padding. Yes, padding around, and here we'll create a form. Within this, we'll create a lightning input field. I'll say label first name, then I'll take a name field and I'll give first name, and to the input field I'll give a on change handler. I'll say on change on this input field, call a method change handler, and I can wrap this up. And after this, what I want is I can give some class that will be SLDS margin bottom small, extra small, and that's my first input field. Likewise, I'm gonna create 3 4 more fields, so I'll copy paste this. I'll create 2 3 4. I'll change this first name to last name. I'll change this name first name to last name. I'll keep the handler same. Then after that, I'll change it to title and change the name to title. Apart from that, we can label spelling is wrong here, so update that. Apart from this title, what else we can create here? We can say phone, and I'll change this name to phone, and I want the type when taking the phone is tel. If you will not define the type, by default it's a text field. So for our title, last name, first name, it will be a title, it's a text field. And we can add one more field and say email. So I'll say type email, label will be email, and the name will be. These are the fields, and at the end we can create the button. I'll create the button. I'll say label, create account, a variant. I'll give a brand, so it will give the blue color to my button. I'll say on click of this button, you should call create account. Let's create the contact actually. Say contact, create contact, contact, and lightning button. So now first we have to create this change handler, and for that we'll go to the JS file, say change handler. It will receive the event. Every event will have a name, so we'll destructure it. We'll say take out the name from the event and the value using event.target. And what we want is we want to store those key and the value, so we'll create a property here, form fields. I'll initialize with the empty object. And what I'll do is I'll say this dot form fields, add the name and the value. So what it will do is, suppose you start typing something in the first name, so the name will be the here name will come as first name, and the value I type suppose Nikhil. So how it will form this form field object is, the form field object will become this first name and the value is, this is the shortcut trick to create the form with a single handler, so you don't need to write the handler again and again. So whenever you type anything in the field, that respective name field will create it inside the object form fields, and it will add the value. If it's already available, it updates that value. So now our form field is ready. Now we have to call the create contact, and the create contact is a method again. And what we're gonna do is we'll call our create record method, and this will take the record input. Now we have to define what is record input. So what we can do is we'll say we want record input equal to, record input takes API name, so for which object you want to pass. So we are talking about contact object, so we'll import the contact object reference, the contact object, and we have to import it from @salesforce schema /contact. So contact is my object, we are importing the reference, pass our API name contact object dot object API name. This reference will contain the object API name. Apart from that, we have to pass the fields, and the fields are the fields that we have created here. So it will be this dot form fields. And now once the create record gets called, it will return a promise, and to listen the promise we need a then method. It will return us with the created record ID. So we'll say result. It will send us some result back, and if it and any error occurs, so we will use the catch block here to catch the error, and whenever the error comes, we will just console that error, or we can use the toast message. So let's import the show toast event on the top. Import the show toast event from the lightning platform show toast event, and we're gonna create a function outside called show toast. It will receive the title, it will receive the message, it will receive the variant, and here we'll call that this dot dispatch event new to toast event. You guys remember we have a lecture full videos on toast, so you can follow that video if you haven't covered that. So here what we are doing is we are creating a toast event. Toast event will take the title, will take the message that you want to show, and then it will take the variant, and the variant is the variant that you pass, and otherwise by default it will be success. So now what we're gonna do is we'll call this toast when the error occurs. So we'll say this dot toast to toast event. We'll say the title as error creating record. will say the message as whatever the error will return inside the body dot message, and we'll say the variant as error, so it will show the red color bar. And here we'll pass the same toast on success. We'll say success, and in the message we will pass contact created with id, and we will convert this into the string interpolation. So we'll use backtick here, and I'll say with id, and result will give us the id, so result dot id, and we'll say this is as success. If it will not pass, by default it's success only. And once the records gets created, it will show either a success toast or a error toast. Apart from that, what we want is we want to reset our form. For that we can create a class here, create form. What we're gonna do, we'll say this dot template dot query selector, if for form that has a class create form, just call the reset method, so it will reset the form. And apart from that, we want to empty this property that is holding our all value, this dot form field as well. Now our create record is ready. We are calling the create contact on click of a button. It will create the record input. It pass the record input to the create record method, and based on that, if it's success, it will show a green toast, otherwise it's show a red toast, that is error message. So let's go and add the meta file quickly. Say it true, and we're gonna place this into the app page only. Let's deploy this. So it's deployed now, and for this demo I have created the CRUD UI record API page. So CRUD is create, read, update, delete. So going forward we're gonna look into the function how we can create, update and delete the records. So let's edit this page and place our component, and I'll search for our component name it record demo. I'll place into first section, save, and let's go back. Now you can see our form is there, and we'll say first name 0, last name 0, and title developer, is some number, and email is 0@0.com, and let's hit the create contact button, and it immediately throws an error. So there is some error comes. Let's go to the inspect, and let's see the network tab. Once again hit the create contact, and if we go to the response, in the response you can see error on parameter record input. It's showing the message here. Let's go back to our VS Code, and here if I look into the record input, I'm saying API name is contact object, but within the contact object there is a property called object API name, so I need to map that object API name. Let's deploy this. Now it's deployed. Let's go and page again, and here I'll say first name again 0 0, title dev, phone number 888. I'll say here 0@.com, and let's hit create contact, and now you see it's saying contact created with the ID is coming, and the contact is created, form is resetted properly. Let's go to the contacts now, and now you see the contact has been created 0 0. If I open this, it will show the same details that we have passed. We passed the phone number 888, email ID 0@0, and everything is there. Let's go back, and that's how our create record works to create the record. And that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.